Thank you all for coming. It's great to see so many people. This is a talk about my personal experience of starting as a producer in the gaming industry, coming from a non-technical background. Hence the title, You Aren't an Engineer, How Can You Lead a Technical Team? A little bit about me first. So I have a master's in international development and human rights, and that's also one of the reasons why I'm really happy to be here today, because I know Foo Café works with refugees and teach them how to code, and discovering that you can actually do human rights through gaming was a big thing for me. But I now have about 9 years of experience with project management, having worked in both startups and larger companies. And actually, after I finished my studies, I started working with the creative industries, so working with designers, architects, music people, food people. And I think my passion for the creative industries is also what brought me to IO. And that's where I've been for the past 1.5 years working as a producer. A little bit about IO Interactive as well. So we have nearly 4 studios, a big studio in Copenhagen, one here in Malmö, one in Barcelona, and one to open up in Istanbul. And you may have heard of some of the titles that IO has published, such as Mini Ninjas, Kane and Lynch, Hitman, which is still very much going on, a game that's very much alive. We have our next release in January. And then Project 007, the Bond game, which is also very much in the making, along with a few secret titles. So, I was a non-technical professional at first. And I came from a project management background, managing and coordinating many stakeholders across many projects, being skilled at managing projects, people, processes, and being an administrator. And the project manager's job is to know which tasks need to get done and when they need to get done. Keeping those tasks on track, but not necessarily knowing about everything that goes on. But what I learned in this role is that I needed to have at least a basic general understanding about what it was that my team was doing, and that would obviously provide better communication on the team and with other teams. And so I've been managing the work for different technical teams in what we call the backbone of the company for the past 1.5 years. So how can you lead a technical team? Because I contributed with something else. And something my executive producer told me is that I was being honest about my shortcomings, but I was also focusing on my strengths that would complement those that had the technical knowledge. And so what I needed to find out was, what exactly do my teams do? What do my colleagues do? Who are their customers and their end users? Which skills do people on the team have? And trying to understand my team's strengths. And in this, there was also a lot of wanting to learn, a lot of doing the work, a lot of learning by doing, and trying to understand the tools that my teams were working with, setting aside time to play games, to understand the end product, and admitting to this uncertainty that I didn't know everything from the start, and how could I? So there was some realization and some self-acceptance in the fact that I was non-tech, that I had to accept, but I also was going to turn it into my advantage. So in understanding my role as a producer, I was also understanding that I didn't have to be like my team, I could be me. And it was okay that I wasn't technical, that I was brought in for this role based on my skills, my experiences, and my competencies. And so, and I was a people person there to support the work of the dev teams. And while I think that you should have technical leaders who can set a technical direction and solve technical problems, I also believe that that you need good non-tech leaders on a team, actually. And I think that's where I perhaps bring in some diversity, and I think that this makes, you know, different people make a better company culture, and it creates, you know, and create better ideas and better work, actually. I also learned that not everything was my job. I'm not a programmer, so I'm not going to solve a task by coding it. My mission was to understand the team, understand the tools, the context, the role of the different people in the organization, the end product, and I had to sit down and game, basically. That's what I had to do. So how do you learn to swim and swim fast? I started setting up a lot of like 15-minute introductions with people, getting to know more about their area of work, having conversations, being curious, clarifying answers, jumping into the deep end, you could say, because that's when, you know, you move out of your comfort zone and you start to grow. So, and luckily at IO Interactive, I work with very smart and talented people, and they make great collaborators. Establishing relationships is fundamental. It's so fundamental to have good relationships with people, and that I knew I had to do from the very outset. And I also thought I have to adapt to my teams. I have to get to know people. I have to get to know what they work with, how they work. I have to establish relationships through trust and build credibility. And I think this credibility comes in when your team sees that you start to have an impact. And what I do as a producer is I help the team establish processes. So a development that's in line with the company, and for instance, the development of a feature. How does that fit into the bigger project? So what I do is I provide a better understanding of how milestones and deliveries fit into the bigger picture, breaking big pieces of work into smaller pieces of work, making them come in the right order, goal tracking, keeping things on track, and also setting realistic goals for the team so that, you know, you're not setting unrealistic deadlines that will tell the team that they're going to fail, because that's not motivating. And so that's how I fit into the team, and that's what I contribute with. The success of the team, and this is the team in very capital, bold letters. I'd say that my role as a producer is very much also being in service of the team, and that I have a responsibility for the success of the team, and I play a key part in that. And a couple of the leadership styles that came to mind when I was making this presentation, and something that I'm inspired by, is you may have heard of servant leadership, where the goal of the leader is to serve, basically. So you want your team to be happy with what they're working on. You want your team to be part of defining their work and the goals. And that's where I can help create a better understanding of these milestones and be the middlewoman between the team and the company vision. Also, being part of, you know, limiting the possibility for mistakes and the deadlines slip. And then this other leadership style that a friend actually told me about recently is the resonant leader. So to resonate with people and with your team, kind of being on the same wavelength, or bringing your team up to the same wavelength, and engaging and collaborating with people in a way where you achieve what it is that you want to achieve, but without pushing things through. So these are two like leadership styles that that I'm kind of inspired by, and yeah, it's something that I'd like to bring into to my producer role. I think there are benefits to being new to tech. I definitely feel that I'm helping my team train their non-tech vocabulary, which is useful, and because, well, the team needs also to have great relationships with people outside their team. And at the same time, I'm also showing the team how to build relationships, and I'm creating my own like producer role from the strengths that I bring in. Um, and I think also with time and with experience, having a better understanding of what it is that my teams do and what their responsibilities are, I can factor that into the bigger strategy, basically, and start also contributing to that. So what I really enjoy seeing in this process is also how each individual team member grows and how we polish each other and how we grow together. That's really rewarding. Already at the end, this is so quick. I felt like I had so much more to say, but I've gathered some resources for you. If you are curious about which which positions and roles there are within the gaming industry and within game development, I definitely check out the open positions at the IOI webpage. Gamesindustry.biz is also a great place to get basically global gaming news on all topics and all corners of the world. So great resource. A LinkedIn learning course that I did or took that also inspired this talk, actually, working with technical teams coming from a non-technical background, and a really good article that also inspired, whose title I borrowed, about a woman who started in sales and is now leading an engineering and technical team. Bringing in the strength that she had as a goalkeeper, which she was for like 10 years during high school and college, and talks about being this orchestrator and a people leader and a problem solver first and foremost, and that's the skills that she brings to her role. And then a great TED talk about being a good boss. Thank you so much. Definitely wasn't too long.
Questions, anyone? I don't know if it's working. It's working?
Yes.
Thank you for sharing your journey. I was curious when you mentioned that you had many teams. You said teams.
Yes.
How many teams are you a producer with?
Right now, I'm producing for 2 teams. It's a render team and it's a core engine team, and we're in the backbone of the company. So these guys are developing the tools that, for instance, the tech artists are creating the game with, I've been shuffling around a little bit, but these are the 2 teams I'm producing for right now.
Thank you. Does anyone else have a question? Otherwise, I have one more question. I'm curious, as I'm not so familiar with the gaming industry, but is there like a product owner / scrum master / project leader? Are they like sort of overlapping roles? Do you have a product owner?
No, I think these are very overlapping roles of the producer. I'd say that a producer in the gaming industry is both a project manager, a coordinator, a scrum master, an administrator. So it's very much a combined role, I'd say. Yeah, working very agile, at least at IO, but in most tech companies, I think, nowadays. Yeah, with sprints and constant alignment and syncs and that kind of thing.
So you don't have a separate Scrum Master. So you
No, I'd say the producer is the Scrum Master. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, at IO. Yeah.
then do you have budget and personal responsibility as well, like the people you lead?
Right, not budget at the moment, but personal, yes, to a degree, to a degree. Let's say taking, being part of appraisals, those types of conversations where it's a feedback situation, like giving feedback to, let's say, a programmer and also receiving feedback and setting goals for the coming period, that kind of thing. Yeah.
So, but like you recruit them.
No,
No,
not
okay.
recruiting. No, not part of recruiting. Mhm.
So I have a question regarding like the games industry or like the recruitment down there.
Okay.
So you're talking a bit about your background not being like from the games industry, but looking at all the ads that are out now for the producer role or the associate producer, all of them are like demanding a experience from a AAA studio or have done this before. What is your take on that?
I think my take is that recruiters write a wish list of things that they would love the candidate to have, and I mean, I would recommend you to go for it, and I mean, and then like focus on your strengths if you apply for a position, and if you can tick off a lot of things and also read up on a lot of things so that you are ready to go into this role, then then you both have some experience and you also have the the will and the wanting to learn. So yeah, I'd say don't give up.
Thank you.
Just adding
Yeah,
to that,
yeah.
can you share how was your process to get in there?
I had a
like
contact.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
What
had
did
a
you tell
contact.
them?
Exactly.
Made
Well,
them say,
how
"She's
was my
great."
interview? Yeah. Okay. I had a contact in the organization that I poked, and then some time passed, and then this person took a hold of me and said, "We possibly have a position that could be coming up. That could be something for you." So that's how it went. And then I went through, one interview with my soon-to-be team lead and technical director and my executive producer. And then I also had an interview with the CEO, actually, who at the time I think was interviewing everybody who went into production. So I was well prepared, as prepared as I could be.
Did you get in as a, are you a gamer?
I wasn't a gamer.
Okay, that's
I'm
okay.
starting. I can start to call myself a gamer now, since I am playing and I'm trying to do my best to set aside time to do it. Yeah, because I need to know what's yeah.
But it's great that because I'm really fascinated by this industry. I'm trying to get in. It's been a while. I don't play a lot. Like I'm not a full time 24/7 gamer. And okay, I'm more like a Mario. Yeah.
Mario Brothers, Game Boy,
first
Game
Mario.
Boy.
And I feel, oh my God, do I have to lie that I'm a gamer, or do I, or can I say that no, I'm not a gamer, but I love this industry and I want to be part of it. I like the culture of the gaming industry, and yeah, so that's good to know.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, yeah. Welcome.
Have you encountered prejudice or negativity connected with your non-technical background? And if yes, how did you deal with it?
I'm no. Off the top of my head, no. I think in the beginning it was more my own insecurities, I guess. But I guess showing your vulnerability in some situations also, everybody can relate to feeling uncertain or starting out something for the first time and being new at something. And I think when you also, you show your vulnerability along with showing, I want this, I want to learn this, people see the real you, and they also, they see you working for it. So no, it's been, if somebody hires you and believes in you, you also have to believe in yourself, right? So you have to do that work too.
Cool.
I have a question
Oh, yeah.
about trust. Like if at the beginning you don't know, like for example, give me estimates about something that you don't know.
Yes.
How do you trust that they telling you the truth, or how you build that relationship that you know that you can trust and they are not telling you 2 months when it's 2 days, or how do you how do you how do you make them trust you and have a real conversation, and how you keep that, and has it happened to you that people was trying to play you around a bit? Have you felt that?
I mean, first of all, I think it's been a collaboration between me and maybe my more technical colleagues, and there is a lot of, we do a lot of planning, and there's a lot of touch points in this organization where we meet with other teams, other projects, meeting with technical directors to make sure that we are working on the right things. And as I said before, that these things come in at the right order. This is the priority and the prioritized list that we're working with. So I think I have a lot of conversations all the time about what is the scope of this actually, and how can we break it down even further, and what are the estimates. So could be I've been played around, in the beginning, but I think that we have very good workflows and processes that where we try to ensure that we are on track with this. And people can get all absorbed in what they're doing, the teams, and that's also the role of the producer to okay, but it's great that you did this, but we need to get this done, and that's what we agreed on. This is the deadline. So this is if time is allows, and this is what we need to get done. So there is also this constant coordination and keeping things on track, and I think we have good processes to do that. Good colleagues.
Yeah. Have you ever worked with people you didn't like? And what were
Putting me on the
yeah,
spot.
what were their personality that you, or what irritates you about them, and how did you handle those people?
I'd more say that what can make me anxious, I guess, is if people don't keep their promises. That's something that I really don't like. It makes me anxious. That's probably why. So that people say one thing and they do something else, or that people say one thing and they don't follow up. That kind of thing is not good for my nerves. So it's more those maybe character. Yeah, and I think it's also it's really a process and a journey getting to know my colleagues and my teams, and I personally love meeting new people, so that's one of my favorite parts, really getting to know people. And that's when you also find out that, even if this person, wants to, keep these tasks on track and, wants to deliver, maybe it's not possible. And I think in this producer role, it's not just about saying, why didn't you do this? That's what we agreed on. It's also about, okay, but what happened? What happened? And there might be a lot of reasons why we're not, why this didn't happen at this point. So I think I'm also, I'm digging deeper into these relationships and why things aren't, just happening as we planned them, because there can be many layers to this, and people have personal lives, and who knows what's going on in them unless you ask. Or so one of the things lately I've also been focusing on is I picked up a really interesting book called Crucial Conversations, which is about having these conversations that are a bit difficult with people, maybe that can be a bit awkward, but also learning to have those, because that's when you also get real with people, right? You're not just like, I'm not gonna look at that because it's not so comfortable, and the deadline is living a little bit, but let's not talk about it. It's kind of it's being honest, and it's being having honest communication with people, and again strengthening those relationships that you have. Did that give you an answer? Yeah. Okay.
Hi. So
Hi.
I'm wondering, what do you think is the most important skill to have as a producer?
Well, I'd say it doesn't hurt. It doesn't hurt to be a good project manager and a people person, because the producer's role is very visible, and the producer's role is to be very approachable, also. So constantly, people coming to you with ideas or suggestions or concerns, and you're in a lot of meetings with a lot of people all the time, coming from different backgrounds, and being a good communicator. Yeah.
Hi. I was wondering if you have any unique learnings from your background that that someone with a technical background wouldn't get, or something that you feel like someone in a manager position with a technical background would benefit from hearing from you.
Maybe a parallel to what I said about, like, try to explain me this in a non-technical way, like, coming back to what I said about, I think I'm training in deliberately or not deliberately training some of my teams in also like explaining things in non-technical ways, which is also useful if they're talking to a business team or a marketing team, or who are not programmers. So that's a valuable skill, and I'm starting to see it with some of the programmers, like the way that they explain things. I'm like, yes, I get that. Like, it's So that could be one thing at least.
Thank you.
Just a quick one.
Yeah.
I was wondering, what do you think is the hardest part of your job?
Sometimes, not enough time to catch up. Maybe. I mean, it is a busy job and a busy role, and you can always do more. I mean, because there's always tasks. There's always a to-do list. I personally like to be busy like every day, but sometimes having more time to let's say set aside time to game, or set aside time to read up on something, or have more conversations with people that just out of interest, let's say.
What is the average size of the teams that you lead, and can you share some of the roles, like UX, I don't know, UX designer, developer? How, like, if you use, for example, like the Hitman, like a big product, let's say.
Right.
Big project.
Right. So that varies a lot. One of the biggest teams in Backbone is, for instance, the tools team. I think close to 10 people or something, 8 or 10 people, and a lot of newcomers. And these guys work on developing our editor, in which our artists make scenes, and But then the teams that I work with are smaller. It's 5, 6 people. The render team, which is it's one of the render guys said, render beautifies the game, and they really do, because for instance they've done ray tracing on Hitman, which is just a lot of like really stunning shadows and reflections and that kind of thing, and it just really like gives a stunning like image of Hitman when you open it up. So it really varies, and also the seniority of the teams. Like some are very junior, some are more all senior, and so it's a mix.
So you talked about things being released. How is the producer involved in releases?
Right. So we have a release manager, for instance, on Hitman. And then my role as a producer is if my teams have some kind of dependencies in, some tasks they need to deliver to the releases. That could also be collaboration with external partners wanting some of their tech into our Hitman game. Then our programmers have to, actually maybe our UI team has to go and change the menu to reflect this new tech that the player can turn on and off, for instance. So that would be how I have a role also on the game. For instance, if my team is involved, then I'm involved. Yeah.
So you said that you have a lot of work and you are busy in your work. So I have two questions, but maybe they have the same answer. Did you wish as once to be a technical person? And if you be a technical, do you think that can help with your job? Because you said that you are busy.
Definitely. I mean, looking back, I feel like I know so much more than when I started, right? And I feel like there were these like 3-month leaps almost, like, and then you knew so much more, and then you knew so much more. So obviously I'm gaining technical knowledge, like, as I go and as I work, and I wanna continue to learn and learn as much as I can, and it would be nice if you could just take all that knowledge and go like, but there is a process of things layering, knowledge layering. So that's a continuous thing, and I mean I'll look forward to having come even 1.5 year further. Yeah. Right. Yeah, I think I had both. It was still in the times of Corona, a little bit, so there weren't many people in the office. But I came into the office, and yes, I'd say that my technical producer was my mentor, and my other colleague producer, also in Backbone, was also a buddy. And if I had questions, I could ask them. But it was also very much like running with it, just running with it and learning by doing, and being very independent, actually. Actually, also using a friend as as an outsider, knowing me. Not necessarily knowing the company, but knowing me as kind of like, getting some sparring when I, sometimes hit like some kind of question or issue. Yeah. To everybody out there now. I mean, let's just stick to the program and the task and the deadlines we made, like, let's get it done. No. Yeah. I mean, actually at IO, there's a lot of feedback, I feel, all the time, and there's a lot of focus on both professional and personal growth, and setting goals for yourself, how you want to grow in your role and or grow to a new role, making yourself more valuable, and so I feel that actually, yeah, we have a lot of processes where we give each other feedback, and it's both really like heartwarming, and it's also very real, and it's also like I feel really like this is something that we grow from. So there aren't many secrets, I think. In yeah, it's a lot of honest talk and speaking true, I feel. Sorry, I don't think the volume, it's not turned on. Try. Is it? Oh. Okay.
So I repeat the
Yeah,
question.
yeah.
Are there two producers? Do you have a backup? And what happens like when you go for vacation over the summer? Who does like your work?
Well, I guess then some of the work is put on hold, and I mean everybody has to take some vacation sometime, and we do try to coordinate it so. But at the same, yeah, on the one hand, that we take the vacation more or less at the same time, which is, it is useful actually to try and kind of like align on that point, so that you're not gone when everybody's back, and so on. But also that we overlap, maybe, you know. At least that's how I work with the teams. Like, let's see if we can sometimes overlap, so everybody's not gone at the same time. So it's a mix, I'd say.
Okay, so with the gaming industry being very dynamic and ever-changing, do you find yourself sacrificing your private life for the sake of the job?
No. No. I feel like I'm in a very like exciting place in my work and in my career. So I'm enjoying the momentum. I'm enjoying the momentum, and of course I come home tired sometimes. But I also feel that for the most part, I take off from work, and I have a sense of like fulfillment, and that I've done a good day's work, and I'm excited about it, and I'm excited about what's happening.
So you don't check your email while you're home, you know, in the night, in the afternoon?
Depends. Depends on what's going on. If I'm needed, no. Usually not. But I mean, there are periods where that are busier than other, and if I forgot something, I'm like, forgot that. Okay, get it out. So for the most part, it's it's within the working hours, more or less.
Good to hear.
So in this industry, I would suppose that if you are non-technical and you go into a meeting and you're in a lot of meetings and people want to talk tech, you feel like you always need to bring a tech buddy so that you can tech talk during the meeting?
I mean, most of my colleagues are tech, so I can lean on them, and I can ask them to clarify and to make sure that everybody's on the same page. So there's lots of backup in that way. Yeah.
Yeah, my question was really because like sometimes in a meeting, then people start to talk past you because, okay, you're not the tech person, and then you're there and you have some sort of responsibility, but then it gets too technical. Has that happened to you before?
I mean, I mean, some meetings, yes, it gets very, very technical, and I have a general understanding of what work has been done or where it is that we want to go. But I also think that again, maybe my role is more to get people into this room and get them talking and agreeing to what is it that's that we want to happen, within what time frame, and who does what, and what this is a where does this fit into the bigger puzzle. So that is more my role than to contribute to a technical conversation at this point. And obviously later, I hope and I think that I will contribute more and more and more. Yeah.
I thought of another question as
Yes.
well when you were talking about if you brought the work home with you. Do you get a lot of crunch or overtime, like you personally, or people at IO in general? You have to work more than your 40 hours per week.
I mean,
frequently.
at least for me personally, it's in periods. Like, let's say around a release, it might get busier because there is a big deadline, and the game needs to get out. On the game projects, so I'm in Backbone, and on the game projects, I would assume that, they're also busier the closer they get to a big delivery, right? So, crunch, I hope not, but maybe, yeah, in periods, people are very busy.
Thank you.
Sorry, one
Yeah,
more question.
Yeah, great,
What
between the
is
two of you.
What is the growth path, or what is the development path for a producer or non-technical producer? Where do you grow as your next steps?
Right. So I started as a project coordinator, and I'm now a junior associate producer, and then if I continue along this path, associate producer, senior producer, maybe even principal at some point. No, maybe not. But that's how it goes, at least with the producer roles. Yeah. Were there any questions also? Okay, online, do you want the microphone, or, yeah? Okay. Yes.
Okay, so question from YouTube. How long did it take you to feel comfortable with your work, where you felt like you really understood how to support your team?
Longer than I wanted, probably. It's funny how it really just takes time to get to know people, and know them well, and know how they work and how you can best support them. It's like so in the beginning, maybe there's you can't really read. Some people you can't really read. It's about building these relationships, I think, to best know how you can support people. Before I started, I think I also had an idea of, then we're gonna have syncs every day, we're gonna do stand-ups, and this whole agile methodology, and people are gonna say what they did yesterday, what they're gonna do today, what they're gonna do tomorrow, and somebody was like, I think you have to check in with the team and see what they want, and find out who they are. And that's where, coming back to the I had to adapt to the team, get to know people, build relationships, and now I feel I'm much more able to support the individual programmers on my teams, because we know each other now. Yeah. Yeah. Was that it? I don't know what time it is. It's pretty good timing. It's 1 minute until 8:30. Yes? So maybe that was the final question? Comment? Okay, thank you so much.